everyone, and welcome to the Bigger, Braver Life Show, episode 9. My name is Angela Williams. I am a success coach, and I'm so excited to have you all here on the show today. Today, we are welcoming a very special guest. Her name's Aarica Smith. And so we're going to talk to her about how she is living her bigger, braver life. So welcome, Aarica. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you're living your bigger, braver life.
Well, thank you so much, Angela, for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've been looking forward to it for a while now. As you mentioned, I am Aarica Smith. I am a mother, an entrepreneur, a wife, and just a really engaged person in all things community oriented. So, with that being said, I am the founder and chief strategist of my company called Smith Strategies and Consulting. What we do, we are operational strategic consulting and coaching firm focused on nonprofits as well as social organizations. So what that means, or when we say operational strategy, people are like, "What does that mean?" I don't know if I
Right,
need that or not.
yeah.
So what that really means is that we actually work with nonprofits and social enterprise organizations to get you out of the idea and concept phase into a clear plan approach moving forward. So a lot of times you can kind of maybe relate to this, but if you have some ideas in your head and your head has all these like jumbling things going on. You're like, I have all these great ideas. I just don't know where to start, who to engage, who to call, how to price it. That's where we come in. We come in and say, okay, tell us what you want. What is your vision? Once you're able to communicate that, my team works with you to understand the vision, your expectations, and how you want to move forward. And we get all the discovery type questions out so we can understand what you're looking for. And then we provide a plan to you to say, here's how you're going to take this idea and move it forward. And here are the things that you need to do, like a communication plan, a timeline. All the tools and necessities, we provide you with all of that. So it's kind of like in a visionary sense, taking that big scribble of ideas that's in your head and you're like, I have a whole bunch of stuff I want to say, I just don't know how to say it. What
Mhm.
we do is we come and take that and put it into a streamlined process and plan to move forward.
That is so wonderful and so needed. And is that just for nonprofits, or tell me more about who you serve, like what the focuses are?
Yeah, so we work with nonprofit organizations and social enterprise organizations. So, social enterprise organizations, it could be a nonprofit or it could be a for profit, but really we work with mission driven organizations.
Beautiful. I love that. And how timely, because this week and with the work that I do with my clients too, is being able to very clearly understand, articulate, and create that, whether that's personal or for their business, their vision, mission, and value statements to be able to right communicate what you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it, know what lights you up, and kind of using those values to steer you in the right ways. So that is so exciting. So you're really taking somebody's ideas for these companies or these organizations or movements, and you're able to really help them package it, organize it nicely. It sounds like some project management in there too, like
Yes.
really making that, really kind of bridging the gap between I want this, but it feels really big and overwhelming and scary, and how do I get it out to people?
Exactly. What I like to tell people is that there is a zone of excellence that you can work in, and there's your zone of genius. So while your idea is your idea and you're like, I want to do it, I just don't know how, we come in to say, let us work in our zone of genius, which is like exactly what you said: project management, change management, strategy planning, all of those different things, and even project implementation. We do a lot of those as well. So let us work in our zone of genius, allowing you, your team, and your schedule to kind of work towards your zone of genius, which may be running the company or managing your team or working on program efforts. All of those things that your team is dedicated to doing, let me and my team come in and do what we need to do to move your mission forward.
That is so awesome. So tell me, Erica, what inspired you to create this business, this company?
Actually, it started when I was in graduate school. I went to graduate school at Savannah College of Art and Design, got a master's in art administration. So, kind of doing the nonprofit management route. Then I started working at nonprofits and doing a lot of project management, campaign management, fundraising, all these different things. So I've touched anything and everything related to nonprofits and social enterprise. But honestly, just to be very transparent with you, I was doing work that I loved, but I all of the skills that I learned in my graduate program I wasn't touching. So I really wanted to be able to use the skill set that I learned and I was paying for
I
to really help other people. So then I started this consulting business probably about 4 or 5 years after graduating, and I really wanted to use that to help people start their nonprofits. A lot of people would say, I have this idea, I don't know how to do it. I want to solve homelessness in my
I
community. I want to give girls the opportunity to travel the world, and I just don't know where to start. And I said, okay, well, tell me what you want and let's figure this out. And then it just kind of grew from there. And for me, my passion, what I wake up for every morning is the strategy. Tell me what your problem is. I'm going to work to solve it. I'm going to do the research. I'm going to do the work. And my tenacious personality just kind of infuses that as we go.
love that. So y'all are hearing that Erica is the problem solver. I love this. And I think as entrepreneurs too, like there's this innate drive and want for us to solve problems, and it's really helpful, right? When we can use that talent for somebody else and solve their problems, help them streamline, make things easier for themselves, and get success to reach their goals, right? And the people they want to impact. So that's so
Exactly.
amazing. Tell me a little bit about your vision for the company. Where do you see your company growing, going? What are some like wish list items for your company?
Yeah, and that's exactly where your show comes in with the title, right? Like bigger, braver life. That is what I am wanting to do with my company. That's what I want to do with my community. So again, at the core, I am a giver. I like to help. I like to solve problems. I like to be there, and I'll stretch myself thin to make sure that everybody has what they need in
Mhm.
order for us as a team to move forward. So for me, my company is continuing to grow. We are moving out of the space of actually doing the paperwork for starting your nonprofit. We're actually still going to provide those services in a different format in courses. What we are doing is we're moving to really work with the organizations directly to do some strategic planning, implementation, as well as to help with them on long term partnerships. So, from a long term perspective of the company, I am looking to continue growing in the different nonprofit organizations and social enterprise organizations and really helping to help as many people, not just in the US, but globally. We've had clients in different countries that speak the same language of like, we just want to help our community and we just don't know how. So that is what I love to do. And I see us continuing to do that for a long time.
That's amazing. So it sounds like you're expanding the ability to reach people with adding the course element. Sounds like you can really impact more people in that way and educate more people in that way. And you're helping to expand other people's businesses in more of that long term strategic look
Mhm.
and your reach. So that's so exciting. I love hearing about those future plans and what's coming on the horizon. So that's super exciting. So y'all, if you're listening and you're kind of like, hey, I really have this nonprofit or social enterprise idea, Erica is the one to contact, right? So Erica, you actually have your hands in another business too. Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. I stay busy.
Yes.
So I also have a online greeting card business called Infectious Greetings, and you can visit it at infectiousgreetings.com. But we have greeting cards that we design and we sell them in packs of 10 because a lot of people, especially over the pandemic, weren't able to see their families and still wanted to feel some type of connection with them. So we're kind of bringing back the importance of writing a note, sharing a little special something to your loved ones just to let them know you're thinking of them. So our cards are sold in packs of 10, so you can get a pack of 10, and that way you have 10 of your best friends to all share a moment together. But that is also something that I do along with Smith Strategies and Consulting. And again, that kind of goes to my personality. I'm a giver. I want people to feel loved. I want people to open our cards and feel the warmth that someone is thinking of them. So that is kind of where that is. And I started that business based on the fact that I am an artist at heart. I've always loved art class going to school. I mean, hence I went to Savannah College of Art and
Yeah.
Design, right? So I needed an art outlet. I've done a lot of different things. I used to paint and go and sell art at art shows and crafts and things like that, but I really loved graphic design. So I decided to have a business venture of putting greeting cards together.
Love that. So you're able to really tap into that creativity, which you kind of have like some technical skills, but also right, that's like really inherent in us. And no matter how we create, we're always creating something, whether that's new ideas or something physical. So that's so great that you get to combine both of your. Sounds like you have really good strengths in both of those areas too, of strategy and creativity. So
Hmm.
how very cool that you can live those out.
Thank
So,
you.
so Erica, yeah, tell us a little bit about your journey. What was it like for you before you started these businesses? Did you have other work experience? Sounds like you had, other work experience. So tell us, like, how did it go for you along your journey to know that you wanted to eventually open your own business and do your own thing?
Well, once I got into the nonprofit space, even after my graduate program, I had the opportunity to touch a lot of the different areas in that space. So, again, program management, fundraising, event planning, account management with corporate accounts. I managed accounts up to $33 million, and installing a art program worldwide with a youth development organization. So I've had a lot of different areas to learn, and I am a lifelong learner. So for me, having those different opportunities just kind of allow me to see the different opportunities that are available to me as a career. But it always came back to really wanting to be strategic and helping people get from point A to point B, or as we like to say at Smith Strategies, getting you from A to C, because we were trying to move you from ambiguity to clarity.
Oh, I love it. Alliteration, folks. Okay.
So for me, that is kind of where everything is. Even with the artwork, to me, it's along the same lines of designing a strategic plan, right? So you have a vision in mind of what you want, and you get that paper and you start sketching out what you want and figuring out which design you can go with. If you can go left, you can go right, or maybe do some little research and see what other people are doing. To me, that whole process is a beautiful process of evolving and changing and backtracking and then going into your final product. So that is what I love about what I do. And then from a career standpoint, all the things that I got to do in my various career opportunities led me here. But again, everything at the core is about helping and serving a community.
Love that. So I know a couple things. I've also worked in a nonprofit setting before, and I know that sometimes it can be a disorganized environment. I've actually worked in a couple different environments, and so sometimes it can be a little chaotic and disorganized. And it sounds like what you bring to the table is really to support and streamline and make things efficient and clean and organized and have a purpose along with all of that. So that's
Yes.
needed.
They have a very common phrase that we say in the nonprofit industry: you're flying the plane while you're building it. Not
Yeah.
everybody can live in that environment, but I thrive in that environment because it's exciting. Things are always changing. And that's what I also love about consulting. You're working on projects, things are happening, you got to pivot here and here. It's just very exciting. But you don't always have to operate in that mindset. Sometimes you do need to just take a step back and look at the grand picture to see what's going on in order for you to dive back into the details. So, yes, there is a time and a place where you're flying the plane while you're building it. There are other times where we can put some operations and systems in place so that the learnings that you had before can now help you going forward, because you have now a streamlined process to help you continue moving the mission forward.
That's so music to my ears. I love the pairing of flexibility and structure and being able to step back and understand the bigger picture, see your vision in the future and the steps that we need to tweak or to make, right, to get there. I do a lot of visioning work. One of my strengths, so it used to be Strengths Finder, now it's Clifton Strengths, is futuristic. So I'm really interested in how can we get people looking forward and bridging the gap between here and there. I love it. Ambiguity to clarity, of course. I love that so much. But it's helpful, right? Because if we can do the thing where we build the plane while we fly it, however, it can really go further faster if we already have a lot of that structure and support in place, and efficiency and really grounded with the values and the mission. So I just love that you're doing this work. This is so needed.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I know for me personally, I really felt that I think for a long time that I wanted to have my own company, my own business, and run things, my way, so to speak. When did you notice that you kind of had a calling for something bigger?
I think for me, it was really when I started listening to my friends, my coworkers, and they would tell me their dreams. I don't know. I think there's certain people in the world where you just look like the kind of person where people can talk to you and they feel like it's really easy to talk to you. So I get a lot of people who talk to me just in general and they'll say, I've always wanted to do this. And I'm like, okay, what's stopping you? And it's just a
Yeah.
conversation, but like, okay, well, let's figure this out. Okay, let's research how to do this. And of course, the internet is great. So you
Right.
can just literally type in your question, and
Right.
either someone else has done it before, they wrote a book about it, or you just see a whole list of things that you see in the search engine that say how to do it. And then
Right.
it's like, okay, so this is what you want to do. Why do you want to do it? Let's figure this out. So for me, that was kind of just the excitement of it. Is like, okay, so we got an idea. Let's kind of run with it, see where it goes. And then it just kind of turned into a business. For me, it also helps that, as I mentioned, I am a mom, I am a wife, I am running this business as well as doing infectious greetings. So it's like for me as a business owner and entrepreneur, I have to be able to compartmentalize my time during the day. So setting goals again is very important to me because in the morning when I wake up, I have to wake up before my kids so that I have a little peace,
Right.
uh,
Right.
a little peace so that I can kind of walk through what my day is going to look like. What are the things I have to get done today? What are the time slots that I have some free time, some meetings, things like that. So I know, okay, if nothing else, if I get these three things done today, that's a win. So as you do little things and incorporate that same mantra of having goals, setting up a strategy to hit those goals and keep it moving forward, you'll realize that that will kind of help with setting yourself up either to being a successful entrepreneur or just someone who likes to juggle a lot of things. You
Yes.
can take that same mantra of setting up goals and putting strategies in place and being disciplined enough to do it and start small, right? So it's like, okay, the win today is if I get the laundry done and I get to go and eat a healthy lunch with my friend, I'm good. And
Yes.
that's how we move forward, little baby steps, and then you'll start seeing that that same mantra and that same practice is going to take over in other parts of your life because you're now comfortable with it.
Right, right. It generalizes, right? When you have a system, a thought process that's working for you and supporting you, it's going to generalize to all things and propel you, right, to
Hmm.
have success in those areas as you continue to apply this.
Right.
So,
It changes your mindset, right? Because it also will then start putting the right words in your mind. So instead of saying yes, but you're saying yes, and instead of saying that you can't, you're like, well, what if I can? So it's like just these little things change up your mindset to make you start believing in yourself and believing in your dreams to say, well, I can do this. And what's the difference between me and this person who wrote this book? Because they had to start somewhere, so we all have to start somewhere, but that mindset shift is very hard to do because little imposter syndrome creeps back up and says, "Hey, who are you to think that you can do this?" And then your friends are coming up saying, "Hey, I don't know if that's going to work." It's hard, so I'm not going to tell you that it's very easy, as you know, but it is something that every day, even myself, I work to say, "Okay, what are we doing today? What's the plan?" And then I have times where I doubt myself. I'm like, you know what? There's no room for doubt. I love what I do.
right. And you brought up so many good points. I think that it's almost like a daily and a lifelong process of this mindset work that we do, whether you are wanting to run your own business, whether you have a lot that you're balancing, whether you want to just, be a better version of you. You're right. At every level, no matter where you're at, there's going to be a little doubt or a little voice or a little something, someone else says something, whatever that is, that we need to work through and not let it overtake what we're doing, that bigger picture, and
Hmm.
really working through that mindset stuff on the daily. And so, just for folks who are listening, Eric and I actually met through a group called We Should All Be Millionaires, the club. And that group is really focused on networking, supporting one another, getting coaching, advice, and support for business owners, getting education on how to scale and grow our businesses. So we are very much both proponents of how can we get the support that we need. We're on our mindset daily. we are working on our businesses in intentional ways. It's just so important to have that support. So, Erica, actually, if you want to talk to everybody a little bit about your experience, maybe as a recipient of coaching or support, and how that's helped you with a lot of these things, because you're juggling a lot, right? So many roles and many hats that you wear, like that is a lot.
It is a lot. I will say, for me, it starts at home. My husband is a great partner, not just, my husband. He is a great partner as we are both building opportunities for us and for our kids. We are very open with our communication and say, hey, I have a meeting at this time. Can you take the kids here? Or hey, can you give me some space so I can build this out? And then we also rely on each other to help, right? So will reach out to him about financial questions and he'll reach out to me about some creative strategic planning things. So it for me starts at home with having an amazing partner who is really helpful in seeing things that I may not have been able to see.
Mhm.
And then what I mentioned earlier, the sense of community is very important to me. So the group that you mentioned that we're both in, I love going to that group and looking at everybody's posts, sharing in people's wins, answering questions. And it's not questions about what I do, but it's just, hey, I'm having a bad day. It's raining and I'm not feeling motivated. Anybody have any suggestions? And I
Right.
can type in there, hey, have a dance party, call
Yes.
it a day, enjoy the day, and start again tomorrow. It's okay. But there are times where all of us need that encouragement and that space to vent and say, this is hard. Okay, yep, it's hard and someone's going to pick you back up and then the next day you have a win. So community is really important to be around like-minded people who understand what you're going through. Not everybody understands what entrepreneurs go through, so they can't really speak to it except to say, "Oh, well, you'll do better next time." That doesn't help,
Right.
right? You need someone who
Yeah.
you need someone who can say, "I've been there and this is
In
what
the
I did." It,
trenches.
right.
Yes.
And then what I also love about the group, I've met a lot of people who just give advice, but then we meet afterwards. After the post in the group, we'll go and have a virtual coffee and talk about things. And then we'll also have some of the group members who are living around me locally, and they'll come and say, hey, how about we all get together and have lunch? Those are amazing conversations that you can find partners, or you can just find someone to say, hey, I've done this. Let me mentor you. Let me send you this resource to help you get through this piece of the puzzle.
Right.
So, community is so important, whether it's your friends, your family cheering you on, all of that is great, but you definitely need someone who has been where you are so they can guide you along the way.
Absolutely. And, I can't say enough about how important it's been for me to have coaches specifically in the entrepreneur space, to have a network of people who truly understand. I think you totally hit the nail on the head when you talked about having people who are going through it with you at the same time, and have maybe climbed the mountain that you're kind of on the uphill, right, climb with. It's so invaluable. So for those who are listening, whether you are wanting to, start a nonprofit, start a company, create a movement, be a better version of yourself, write a book, whatever is the dream on your heart, it's really important to find those people to surround yourself with that can give you that additional support. Because, right, again, you mentioned you have a really supportive husband, and I do too, and I'm so thankful for that. And that's one of the things I really hammer in with my clients, life coaching clients, is you need that true partner at home, or wherever that may be. And you also need that community to support you in your workspace and your pursuits, because it can feel lonely, it can feel isolating, and you're in here with your thoughts, and it's like, oh, right, like you said, the imposter syndrome, the doubt can come up. So it's really important to have that support system. Thank you for speaking on that. Really
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
Yeah. So as we are, talking through kind of the balance, I'd love to hear from you. One of the values that I have is self love and self care. So tell me how you balance everything. How do you take care of yourself with all this going on?
I compartmentalize my time with my schedule, but for myself, I try to listen to my body. I try to schedule as much as I can, but
Mhm.
there is a day that your body wakes up and is, I don't want to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, is it because I don't feel well, or is it just because my mindset needs to shift? I need to kind of unpack that to really understand what is happening. But then sometimes you just need to listen to your body. Say, could you might need to rest for today. You might need to just sit down and watch some movies for the afternoon and then start again tomorrow, because I really firmly believe in recharging your battery and really listening to your body to do that, because there are a lot of things at play here. Even things that you may not physically do yourself, such as if you're watching social media and things are popping up about the news and that someone passes away and earthquake here, that can drain you. That can literally change your mind and your personality and your space that day, because all of this stuff is impacting you because you're reading it. So for me, I also have to put boundaries up of like what I'm going to be reading and what am I going to be a part of in my environment. And a lot of things I've had to push away, not pay attention to it, and especially with COVID, and I was so extremely nervous, as most of you may have been, with especially my kids, because they were saying you can't get to a grocery store, everything is taken, there's no food, and people in the streets are doing this, and toilet paper, all of that stuff. I was panicking, but it's like after a while, that noise and other noise, you just have to decide whether or not it's going to work for you
Yep.
and whether or not you can actually silence it to actually drive down to exactly what we are focusing on, which is okay, what are the key things that I can impact? I can't impact what's going on at the White House. I can't impact all these other things. But for what I am doing and the people that are in this household, what are the things that I can actually change? And you can change the narrative with your business. You can focus on, for example, my greeting cards, Infectious Greetings. Our goal is to make sure that you all are having cards that can spread love and care and making people feel good. So then I can change the narrative on my social media to say, be infectious. Do something good for someone else today. Hey, we went and outside and had a dance party. Things that people want to hear about, because it's like, I don't really want to hear the negative things. So I'm going to switch the narrative and do something positive today. So I think for me, it's definitely compartmentalizing my schedule and my time to make sure that I hit the goals that I have for the day, setting up boundaries to make sure that I'm protecting my inner peace and my thoughts, and surrounding myself with the people who are going to lift me up and not tear me down.
Beautiful words of wisdom, y'all. I hope everyone's taking notes. Aarica is just sharing all of the most wonderful things with us because it's so important to, you're right, cultivate your environment that's going to continue to fuel you with the energy to be able to balance all of the things that you have going on, all of the roles, all of the hats. And, a lot of times I think when we are in environments that don't support us, or we are choosing to kind of spend our time going down the social media rabbit hole or whatever that is, and then we compare ourselves, right? Like we spend a lot of time, whether we feel like we have a choice or not, we do have a choice, and we spend a lot of time in these environments or having input that directly impacts us and drains our energy and our abilities. So taking care of yourself is like the number one thing. I preach it so much because if we don't take care of ourselves, we don't monitor the things that we're spending our time on that have access to us, right? It's going to drain our cup real quick, and then we're not going to be able to do the things we want or the things we love or the things that we're passionate about. So you're right,
Exactly.
taking care of ourselves is number one. So thank you for sharing that. That's so important and so helpful for all of our listeners and everyone really that will be tuning in, having a business or not, right? It's just number one thing to do.
Yeah.
So Aarica, if someone wanted to work with you, how would that process work?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with the Smith Strategies and Consulting business, what you would do is you can reach out to us via email, give us a call, or peruse the website to really learn more about us. You are more than welcome to give me a call with the number on the website and kind of talk to me about what's going on. So, you can just literally call me and say, hey, I have an idea. This is what it is. Where do I go from here? How do I engage? The process to working with us is once we get engaged and really learn what you're needing. If it's basically just a plan forward, we'll then have like what we call a 90-minute discovery session. So we'll have a call with all the necessary people and stakeholders on the call to really understand, okay, here's what you told me. Let's unbake this a little bit. Tell me more about this. What are the expectations? What do you all define as success here? So then once we get all of that information, understand the requirements, the parameters, and then we kind of say, okay, after this 90-minute session, We got everything we need. We're going to put together a plan for you to say, here is what you need to do to move this forward. Here's some check marks. Here's some balances, things that you need to make sure are in place before you move forward. Some tools, such as a timeline, some drafted email templates, or whatever you may need based on that plan, and we will give that plan to you. Now, if you look at the plan, like, Erica, this is great. I want to move forward. How can I move forward with you in implementation? We do offer implementation services also. So we'll take that plan that we provided you and we'll work with you to implement it. We'll work with whatever necessary stakeholders that are there, schedule meetings with them. If we need to meet in person, we can, and make sure that this is happening. We'll give you a clear timeline to say, okay, we are going to do these things. We're going to have checkpoints once a week to share with you. Here's what's going on. Here are the questions that we're waiting on to get answered in order for us to move forward. Here are the things that are the risk. So we look at all of that and make sure that we are in constant communication with you to let you know how we're doing, what's holding us up, and moving forward. So that's kind of how it looks. We also have a partnership opportunity that we offer to say, hey, there's some projects that take longer than a few weeks, right? So if you have projects or multiple projects in your life, we want to work with you to kind of really get that project management, change management, or even the implementation that takes a little longer. We do have partnerships starting at the 6 month uh, point that can go longer than 6 months for us to work with you and be kind of like your in-house strategist to get things up and moving.
This is like full service, right? Premium services here. I love it. So great. Would you say that there's someone who maybe, or people in a stage that maybe not your company or the work that you do is not a good fit? Is there anyone who's maybe not a good fit in the process, or do you think that anyone at any point in their journey creating these type of organizations is a good fit for you?
I think really there's a lot of people are in good spaces, right? If they have the vision and they can be ready with providing the resources that they already have or the stakeholders, getting engaged in the discovery or in whatever setting that we need them to be in, is really making sure that your organization is ready to take this on. What we have seen is people who think that they're ready, or maybe, let's say, the program director, who is not the executive director, or basically the person in charge of their budget, um, they may say that we're ready to do this, we're doing this now, but then when you get up the chain to the executive director or the finance team, they're like, we don't have the budget for this, or we can't pull this person off of this project to come and help. So we want to make sure, and that's part of the discovery process, we want to make sure that all stakeholders are ready and are engaged in what we are about to do, because we are going to make moves, and we can't do that if there are people who don't know what their roles are, or people who say we don't have the budget to do this at this point, or there are other competing priorities. So I would say the organization leadership needs to be in sync and aligned before we get involved and start with the implementation pieces. And then again, we work with organizations. So if you are looking to start a nonprofit, we definitely have the resources to help you with that. But the services that we're offering in terms of strategic planning and implementation, those are for the organizations that are already formed. Now, you don't have to be 1,000 person organization. You could be a 10 person organization. You are an organization all the same, and we would love to help you.
Thank you for that clarification, because I think sometimes we talk about a lot of times who our services are for, who we help, which is really great, but then we also need that clarification on, maybe who's the best fit, and who would be really good to kind of come right into the pipeline there, and where we want to kind of do some more support with the ideation phase. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Erica. And if you could leave all of our listeners with any final thoughts, support, encouragement, advice, what would that be?
So, for anyone who is looking to start a business or have an idea of a concept or something they want to explore, do it. No time is better than the present. I know you may have a lot of other things in front of it. They're like, I got to do these things first. Take some time and just explore. Search the internet, figure out what's available, what does it take to do it, and then at least you have an idea to say, okay, it's going to take me X amount of hours to lift this, or X amount of dollars to fund this. And then you can put it on the shelf and say, okay, I have that as my goal. In 6 months, I'm going to pick it up and start. I'm going to start fundraising for this so that way we can hit this goal, or whatever the case is. But at least do the research, right? At least kind of make sure that you give yourself some space to really explore that and then decide from there. I'm going to do this in 6 months, or I'm going to do it in a year once I have X. I don't think we give ourselves enough space to explore. Sometimes it's just a quick no because I don't have time, or I don't have the funds, or that's crazy. Who would ever do that? I'm just going to like tuck that away. I can tell you for me and the greeting cards, I always wanted a greeting card company ever since I graduated from college. I was doing a lot of artwork and painting on canvases, and I would love to have a greeting card company. It took me about 10, 12 years until I actually had one, but it was just something I always had in the back of my head, but it just was not something I actually explored because I had other priorities I had to take care of. So, in terms of advice, go ahead, jump, explore, and then if you need to set it to the side, that's great that you did the exploration so you know whether it's something you really want to do or not. And I would say any advice for just anybody listening, follow your dreams, follow your heart. There are times in our lives that we get sidetracked with marriage, graduate school, loans, jobs, children, and you tend to, or you could tend to lose who you are in that. And there have been at least two or three times where I've had to kind of go back in my little hole and figure out what Erica wanted to do. What are the things that made me happy when I was a kid? Those are the things that you could do without getting paid. You could do all day, every day. If you are a runner when you were a kid, you may want to do running now. It may be something that you just haven't done in a while, but it's something that you don't have to think about. Once you're running, you're good. For me, it was art classes. For me, it was problem solving and talking to people and really doing a lot of community service. And I will credit the schools that I went to all the way from middle school through graduate school. There was a requirement of service, and that really spoke to where I am today. So I would definitely tell people, follow your passion. If you need to take a step back and really understand who you are outside of mom, dad, father, doctor, whatever, figure out what your childhood passions were and see if you want to get back into that.
I love that so much. I actually have a couple things I want to say because whenever you bring up a point, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I love that. And right, it was so funny. So we had a trampoline growing up as kids, and I was like, I really want like a fun way to take a break in between sessions and running the two businesses and everything. And I told my husband, I'm gonna buy a trampoline. And a trampoline showed up, and luckily he put it together for me. So that's what we do. We lay on it and look at the sky, or we jump on it, and it's so much fun. And it's like, yes, we need to honor that inner child, within us, and have that fun and do the things that bring us joy, like that fills our cup and fuels us for all the
Right.
things, right?
Yeah.
And I totally agree. And following your dreams is the baseline of what I'm encouraging my folks to do. It's like when we have the bravery to follow our dreams, that's when we get the success. That's when we get this bigger life that we see the benefits, we get to enjoy it, we get to see that reward on the other side of that risk. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that message too. I'm always sharing that, so when someone else is, I'm super excited about it. And you're right, there's always something that can pull us off our path. So that's where it really can help to get the support of a life coach, a business coach, wherever you are in your journey. And I think this is a really good argument, if you will, a good reasoning for doing the visioning exercises, to know your vision, to know your mission, your purpose in life, to know your values, to help guide you along, because life will take us here, take us there. And the clearer we are about that, because our big dreams aren't going away. Like you said, what a beautiful example with your greeting card company. That was not going away. That's things not going away. It's time to make a move. So get the support you need, and move on, and have that braver step to see that success that you want to bring in your life.
Yeah.
So awesome. Erica, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show with us. For everyone listening, we will put how to contact Erica. You're always welcome to reach out to Erica and myself for any support that you need. And we will see you in the next show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here.